I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today, at the conclusion of the land acknowledgement statement, we will have a moment of silence for a beloved bus driver and warrior, Mrs. Sue Haynes, who passed away over the weekend. The Salamanca City Central School District acknowledges the homeland of the Anundawatka, the people of the Great Hill, the Seneca people on whose ancestral and modern-day land Salamanca School District now stands and whose water we enjoy. We stand with all Indigenous peoples in their resolve to remain connected to their land. While we cannot undo what has been done, it is the goal of the Salamanca City Central School District to recognize the history and make improvements that will benefit the next 7 generations of Indigenous students. Thank you.
Welcome, everyone. Good to see everyone tonight on this cold night. Do we have any changes to the agenda?
Yes, we, after it was published initially on Friday, we added a PowerPoint presentation for the gifted and talented presentation, and we added a student safe PowerPoint to the district cardiac emergency response plan presentation.
Okay, then with that, I need a motion to approve the agenda.
Motion. Second.
Motion by Carrie, second by Dale. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion carried. I do want to point out that Mr. Early and Mr. Ryler are excused tonight from the meeting. All right, let's move on with our presentations. First up, we have our attendance. Mr. Brundage, you're gonna wow us.
I'm going first because I don't want to have to step in the footsteps of the presenters going after me, so. So, well, where's best?
I'm here.
Hi there. I know, but usually I stand over there. I don't want to be behind these two. Tracy, are you all right if I'm behind you?
Mhm.
Is that all right? All right. This should be short and sweet, and I hope the highlight of your evening, but we'll see. That's, we can go. Let's keep it. Back. Which slide?
That one, slide one.
It's 2 of them.
I know, one is without them. That's slide one. Slide two.
Okay. Slide 1 says, it's actually a slide that you all have seen before. It was from 18 and 19, which was before COVID, when we were at 93% of students' attendance across the board. Then we had COVID in the middle of that, and then the slide that we had the last time that we were in here showed us coming back up to it was 88% after COVID, and then it was 90 during the last time that I stood up here. Our attendance went to 90%. I don't know where that was on my laptop, so I don't know why it didn't exist here. We had 26 to this point as of January 14th. All of the schools and our homebounds. And we had a couple of little dots down there, which was supposed to be the Clark W. Griswold drum roll that showed what our attendance has been this far, which I believe is the next slide. So we're at 92. So we've gone up 2% more so far this year, which is obviously good news. We're from 88 to 90 to 92, and we're doing it in little leaps and bounds that are even. So this is showing a lot of what we're all trying to do, what everybody's focusing on, what everybody is, everybody's saying, what do you attribute this to? Where is this coming from? The best I can tell you is that this is a universal message that has been getting out to everybody. Everybody's pulling the same way, everybody is going the same direction, and everybody from each department and even the students themselves are all saying the same message. They're all trying to get it so that, you know, the kids are coming into school, that there's incentives here, that this is the place to be. It's all been a universal message heard every morning. Mr. Law gives the announcements, Levi gives the announcements. Levi has put up some great posters in the hallway. All the schools, Prospect and Seneca, are also hanging posters up. We're all having incentives. We're all having the things that we have been listening to the kids say that they want, say that will work for them, and say is an incentive for them to come to school. So it's showing here, and I'm hoping that it continues to. I was actually terrified. I think we can go to the next slide. November scared me a lot. There was a lot of flu. There was a lot of sore throats. There was a lot of the stomach stuff. But you can see we've not gone below 90 in any of the months. So September's the best. It usually is. Everybody wants to put their best foot forward, and then it kind of tapers off a little bit. But it has not. November was the worst, but it's also come back up a little bit. So it's looking good. We were very happy with what we were seeing. The thing now is to maintain. Obviously, the thing now is to keep it going, and the thing now is to keep the message going out to the kids. We've been talking to a lot of the kids about what is working and what might not. This is as of 1/14. We go to the next slide. So this is for 24-25. And the state, Dr. Dudas has to explain this to me. This is all very in-depth, and she has access to it. I believe Dr. Beeler does also. 1 is the lowest score as far as the state when we report, and 4 is the highest. So between 1 and 4, 20-25, this was our index, and we were all at a 2 straight across the board. So we go to the next slide. We are now, this is our improvement in each of these, Homebound, Prospect, High School, and Seneca. And we've gone from straight 2s to 3 3s and a 4. Homebound is very intricate, and we have a lot of kids that come in one program and go into another program, or come out of one and into another one, or come from school into Homebound, or the other way around. That is a constant monitoring, but that's, I mean, it looks great right there, and we do have a lot of kids that is working for, and they are attending more, so that's, I think, what's reflected there too. But that is, we were very pleased when we saw this come up. Next slide, please. Some of the stuff that we're doing, you've seen some of this before, but we're keeping the things that are working and getting away from the things that aren't. We've had a lot more families reaching out to the liaisons and myself, to Levi, to our secretaries, whoever they're comfortable with. We feel that there's been a lot more interaction, a lot more proactive parents, proactive guardians, people that are calling us to find out what is this about and what are we doing, what can we do better. So that is very encouraging. My morning greetings at the door, it's very cool, but it is worth standing there and talking to each of the kids as they come in. I've been stopped a couple times and the kids say, how do you know my name? Because we want to know. We want to know who you are. We want to know how you're doing. We want to know what's working for you here. So I get a lot of positive feedback from that. It means a lot to me to stand up front and fist bump you and have you say, great job in the volleyball game the other night, or I heard you, killed it in the play the other night, or that kind of thing. It's good to personally hit these kids. Numbers are what we put up here, the charts and the graphs and all that, but I will always say, this is where the numbers are created. This is where, when these kids feel that this is the place to be and that adults are listening to them, I think it's huge. I talked to a student that graduated last year, and he told me the school he came from, the adults were here, the kids were here. And he said there was no deviation from that. And he said, I didn't feel like I could approach anybody. I didn't feel like I could talk to anybody. how do you have a mentor? How do you ask advice from somebody that's not approachable? And he said, I did not have that here. And he said, I don't know if you teach that. I don't know if that's, you try to explain that that's just kind of our culture, that's, you know, we're all working for the same thing here. We're here for you. We're here for the students. And why would we not be approachable to you? We've also been trying, these are very tedious meetings, but we are finding that a lot of them, Mr. Long and I had a lot of meetings with kids within the first couple weeks of school where kids were already on a trajectory. They weren't happy about that because they were saying, I only missed 5 days so far, but that 5 makes 20 at the end of the year if you project it out. So we just explained that to them, and a couple of them went on cruises. They didn't want to have to answer for that, but they're, when they came back, at least they knew at the time, and a couple of them did say that they were happy that we were watching. We were watching that early on, and that we were noticing a trend and trying to have it on. I can't say enough about the counselors, social workers, the liaisons, helping with all of this. The MTSS meetings that we have, there's monthly charts that are sent to the principals. The principals have been having meetings with all the kids and families and guardians to try and figure out where the barriers might be and what we can do to get over that hump. Students are proactively also seeking me out a lot more. I've had a lot of kids stop me in the hall and say, what can I do to not have this happen again? I can't say enough for Mr. Tritley. Also, he has made a huge impact in this school. He's been very upfront. He's been very blunt. He's been very, it's given us a lot of teeth behind what our policies are, behind what we're trying to get across here. His backing has been great, and he doesn't waver. It's always, this is exactly how this is. And, if you have any questions about it, we'd be happy to, whatever, but it's not going to change. I can't tell you how much that has helped. He's fantastic. I have had a couple of increased visits to locations, hotels, homes, places of work, that kind of thing, to try and find out what a barrier might be and to help support families. Some of those have gone well. Some of them have let us know that it's an intrusion. We just reiterated that all we do is try to let the students know that we care about them. We'll meet them on their ground if we need to. And if, it's just a situation where we want to help. And if that's where we need to do it, then if that's where we need to find you, then a lot of them have calmed down and it's been fine. In a couple instances, we've started seeing the kids here again. So again, I want to thank Levi. You can say all kinds of things, but his signage here and the things that he puts up, the ideas that he comes up with, the things that he's experienced, the things he's heard in the hallway, and puts those in action. He just has a nice way of doing some of that stuff, rubber meeting the road kind of thing. He and I talk constantly, several times a day, about this and this and this, and if this can work. And all of a sudden there's a banner for it. There's something in the hallway. There's something that looks real. It looks tangible. It looks attractive. It looks like something that kids would want to do. And not all of our ideas are going to work, but if we can take a theory and put it, that quickly down on paper and make it a real thing, it's been invaluable. So I really want to just thank him for all of his. A lot of the computer stuff, I can think of that up here, but I still have it done before I even get it out of my mouth. So I'm very appreciative of him. One word, upcoming plans. If you don't know, we had a regional attendance meeting. We had a lot of high school principals in here, middle school teachers and elementary school teachers. We had the Seneca Nation in here. We had a big attendance forum. A couple of former superintendents and former principals also were in here. They all gave us, Tracy, were you there? I think, okay. I know I've reached out again. There's been some changes in some of the schools. I'm sure some of you have heard about. I've got some things back. One school wanted to drop out, but 2 wanted to join. We're just trying to come up with a time now where we can all meet and find out if that is something where we're maybe getting some more corporate involvement, maybe getting some more companies from the county that want to help with incentives and that kind of thing. We've been pooling ideas, trying to find out what works instead of, putting up a unified front, instead of, having a bunch of different schools, it looks like everybody has the same message. Again, the same thing, everybody going forward. We've had a couple of donations from the community. Oaks Barber Shop has given out free haircuts, as has Hair Max. If any of you came by the glass case here, Mike and Colleen Smith have donated a laptop. And we made a little presentation thing out there where we're going to try and give that away, I believe, at the beginning of May. For perfect attendance students, we're going to put them at K through 12 at their request. And we'll pull a name out of a hat at the beginning of May likely. And somebody will win that. And it has generated a buzz. I've already more of a buzz than I thought. I was even putting it in the case and there were 3D asking me what it was and how to get it. So that works. But I'm very grateful to the people in the community. McDonald's donated a stack of perfect attendance giveaway sandwiches, and we ran out of them. We had to finish giving the certificates a month later when they sent us more, which is a great problem to have. We thought, how are we going to get rid of the rest of these? And they were all gone and we needed more. So that was encouraging us. Working on new ways to showcase students in a meaningful way and rewarding improved attendance, not just good attendance or not perfect attendance, all the names of the things, the phrases you usually hear. We want to find kids that maybe weren't doing so well, but are now buying in, are now coming and making good changes, not just in attendance, but maybe in behaviors, maybe in less disciplines, maybe less incident referrals, that kind of thing. We want to start paying attention to the whole, the whole student, the whole, anything, any effort that's being given, anybody that's trying to change their direction and get us all where we're going. Again, numbers, I get it. I completely understand it. I want them to be great, but I really think that a lot of that is hitting the kids here. I hope none of y'all mind, but I asked Brendan Ghani, he's a student here, scholar athlete. He has a very good story about coming from somewhere to our school. We talk about the culture here a lot, and he is a living embodiment to me, and he's also a pretty good speaker. So I just asked him if he would take up my last 2 minutes and give a little account.
So I'm Brennan, and I came from a different school, and my attendance wasn't the best in my old school. I don't know, I was really, my teachers and the students were on a different level at all times, and it was just, there wasn't a good connection in my classes and everything. But when I came here, there's just so many opportunities, and with the teachers, they were like, there's a relationship in all your classes, and there's always something fun happening in school, and there's so many more opportunities in sports that intrigue me to come to school every day, that it's like more fun than not dreading it every morning than going to school.
We talk a lot about it when coaching, when in the hallways or whatever. He is always, that's his story of where he was, the trajectory he was on versus where he is now, and how much it was almost instantaneous. He said, like the minute he got here, he felt entirely different, and he could be an entirely different person than the person that he wants to be. I also looked briefly for some Dr. Beeler TikTok videos, right? I don't want to overstep.
Thanks.
Yeah. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, these are some of Levi's. You'll probably see these up in the hallway. He has put out some banners again while we're literally sitting there talking. He had these up and going. So you'll see these out in the hallway. So it's a lot more colorful. It's a lot more visual. It's a lot more what I think the kids are responding to. And I'm hoping the next time I stand up here, we're even maybe 2% higher. We'll see. I keep thinking this, and then I think at any time there's a possibility that we can keep doing the same things, and it's not going to be the same outcome up here. But it's an evolution. It's not going to stop there. If it goes back down for some reason, we'll keep working to get it back. And this is going to be a complete evolution, probably for decades and decades. So hopefully it continues the way that it is.
I noticed that it seems like Prospect has made a pretty good jump.
They sure have.
25 to 25, 26. And To me, the good news about that is, you're building these strong habits with young kids to just keep carrying them forward. And I agree, like, how do you incentivize not just the kids that have good attendance? You do want to recognize that, but all the ones that are trying and making improvements, because sometimes kids can't help home life. And reaching out, like you said, some people are going to be put off, but I think once they realize we're not trying to intrude, we're just trying to be there to support and help and build that relationship with how can we make a difference? How can we get your kid to school? What supports do we need to put in place to try to help you makes the difference? And we do that end of the year awards banquet where we celebrate our arts and our music and our academics, of course, but we never really celebrate attendance that way. And I'm looking at John and I see, there's no reason why we can't whip up some kind of a dinner even in school to celebrate all the kids that we feel should be invited to a dinner. Not that I want to put you on the spot, but you know what? Why not? But something that we can celebrate and invite the kids that have tried and shown improvements in their parents and whip something up nice for them, just to celebrate them, right?
Now that's in their control.
Right.
Like you said, a lot of those, even if they start out confrontational, couple minutes of talking and you'll watch the softer edges start to come out and they'll say these people aren't here to,
right.
Which makes you wonder what original messages they had heard or what they think a school system is about, or who knows where it's coming from on the news or whatever. You get there and they're ready to, and eventually I've had some great conversations on the phone with people that have called and said, I thought about what you said and
Right.
then I panic and say, what did I say? But then this actually made a lot of sense to me, and I'm glad that you called, and it really was a nice effort. And I also talked to my liaison, and I talked to whatever, and you guys are all saying the same thing, and it really sounds, that's great to hear because we're all saying the same thing. I don't know what they're saying when they're on the phone. I don't know what they're saying, but it turns out we're all saying the same thing, which is great.
And the other thing too is like the reading them at the door. I don't know if it's just you who does that or if there's other people that stand at the doors, but I love that too because
Liaisons, SROs, taking an SRO with me most of the times that I've gone. Sometimes that helps, sometimes it doesn't.
Yeah.
I had a lady answer the door for me that would not answer when we were saying sheriff's office. Just to leave the paperwork.
Yeah.
I said, I don't have paperwork. I said, I'm from the school. The door flies open. The school might be a lot less threatening. But again, you're just showing that you care. And if you can do that and they hear that that's what it is, you can say what you want, but it's what's heard. And I think that a lot of people are now hearing and hopefully comparing notes within amongst themselves, that we are in the out for.
Right.
Did he leave for good or was he coming back?
Brendan?
Yeah.
He's got a basketball game.
Oh, all right.
I'm also working with security at that, which is another reason why I'm going first. So I told him,
I have a couple of questions for him.
It was nice to hear from student.
Yeah.
Actually.
Mom's here. Mom's here if you could answer.
Well, unless you can answer like, what do you really like about walking in the doors in the morning?
I know he feels very welcomed, and he had told me that right off. He's came here at the beginning of his junior year, and when I say his previous year, like I was dragging him out of bed. I was on my way to work calling, "Are you at school?" He's late, missing, and I didn't know what to do. And when he came here, it was like nothing. It was like a complete change. He said, "It's welcoming." We're happy to see him when he comes to the door. He's saying welcome. He says, Mom, the principal remembered my name from, just a few days in. Until I get there. So he came from a very small school where sometimes it's an advantage, and I wouldn't tell everybody they have to switch their kids here, but if they're thinking about it, they should definitely look into it. And he tells kids that too, because it has made a world of difference, and I really don't know where he would be if he wasn't here. 'Cause he's a good kid, but I don't know what would happen to him in that environment. So I think about it every day, and it's super great.
Yeah, and you should tell the other parents that you switch your kids.
Well, you're thinking about it, definitely.
We'll have Levi put out the flyer.
Well, and I was gonna ask too, like, you know, what is the highlight of his day, or a couple different highlights of his day? You know, I know we have different schedules, but it could be
Besides
something different.
lunch. I have to keep that in mind to count so we can get doubles. He goes to BOCES, so he only has a few classes here, but he has just the engagement with the teachers that they find things in common and, you know, use that. The preparation of like having an English class mixed with your history class and your project that you do involves both of them. Learning new things, even the Native American crafts class, loves it. In the beginning, he was like, I don't have any friends in there. That was the beginning of this year. Loves it. His baskets are on display out there. He's doing amazing. So it's just the staff, the students, the whole atmosphere for him is just a huge change. He loves it. And now he's upset. I should have never told him. Everything's, you know, for a reason. Why didn't you make me go?
Good one, Mom.
Yeah.
He's sad because he's graduating, but he's sad. He would want to stay.
Oh, good. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
And the sports is another huge thing for him that people are his old school told him that, well, you're going to switch schools. You might not be on the basketball team. You might not even make it, or you'll be on the bench. He's a starter. So I told him he could do it.
Yep.
Thanks.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I had him on the baseball team last year. I couldn't believe when they told me who he was before, because I had never known that. He was just outgoing and loved it, and hadn't played baseball in years, but I'm not gonna be any good at this, but let's go. This is the most gung-ho kid, smile this big, constantly out there, outworking everybody, and I thought, good for him, good for us.
Okay, well, I have another question for you, question that's on everyone's mind. How do we compare to other districts? Is this just a Salamanca issue, or?
The issues that we are encountering are everywhere. Our numbers are a little better than the ones that I've seen. Most of the things that I'm on the webinars and that kind of thing are Syracuse, downstate. A lot of them are much, much bigger than ours. So that, which is why I wanted to have that forum here to compare notes. Oleann sat up there and said, the numbers you're throwing out there, we haven't had 90 in years. And I thought, okay, and she was quite forthcoming with that. And, you know, everybody nodded their heads and whatever. So I don't know specific numbers from what feedback they gave us, we're well ahead. I don't ever want to feel that way or rest on that, though. I don't want to let up. I'm hoping that we're better than everybody else. I feel we're better than everybody else. I think we have a lot more to offer than everybody else. And I think that this will reflect here and here. But I think we can always keep going. I think we can always keep doing better and better. And whatever reputation other schools have to hear about us is fine. We listened to the other opinions that we were getting over the past couple decades, and they're not always favorable. So I'm hoping that now all these, we have a kid that comes here just for the food. Didn't he get a menu from his buddy? Would bring home menus of our food here, and he switched schools because he wanted to come here for the food. He watched the menu for like 3 months and then moved.
I want to come here for the food. You know, we talked about back in the day, the highlight of the thing was peanut butter treats.
Yeah.
But now it's, yeah.
Pizza. I called when I was at college, I got on the payphone and I called Nurse Jane. And I asked her to find my sister. And I said, if you just see her in the hallway, please have her call me at college. My sister called me back about 10 minutes later. She said, what is it? What's the emergency? I said, I'm coming home for the weekend. I wanted some peanut butter treats. And she goes, well, nurse changes came crashing into my car. So she thought it was an emergency, not that it wasn't, but those people.
Yeah.
Anything else?
All right. Thank you.
All right. Next, we have our prospect speech and language teachers.
I'm getting Yo.
Thank you. Oh, boy.
Well, good evening. Thank you for having us. We are here from Prospect to talk about enhancing communication and specifically our speech language information station that we have established at Prospect.
An exciting initiative. We're pumped.
So first, a little bit about us. I'm Jen White, one of the building-based speech pathologists over at Prospect. During my career, I've worked with kids birth through high school, center-based, home-based, and school-based programs, and also have a background in families from multicultural and multilingual backgrounds. And we'll be talking about the push-in program that we have at Prospect, and I run those for the pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade class.
I'm Jackie Bosworth. I'm the other building-based speech pathologist over at Prospect. I have a similar background with history, students pre-K through 21 in the school setting. I have a background with American Sign Language. I have a little bit of unique experience that isn't often seen in schools, that I worked in a skilled nursing facility with feeding and swallowing therapy as well as cognitive therapy, which actually does apply to lots of students. And I have a lot of experience with AAC, which is augmentative communication, which we'll get into in the next slide. Okay. Who knows what a speech path does? Liz. Don't. So we have 9 areas that we treat in our scope of practice. Articulation, which would be producing speech sounds. Receptive language, how much are you understanding of the information that's presented to you, and can you act on that information appropriately? Expressive language, being able to share your thoughts, ideas, wants, needs. Social communication, fluency, which would be stuttering or cluttering. Voice and resonance. Please think of any coach you've ever heard yell. We would help them with that gravelly, terrible voice. Cognition, so attention, memory, problem solving, executive function, feeding and swallowing, and then augmentative and alternative communication, which is really producing and providing a student or an individual with any other means to communicate aside from verbal language. So if you can understand how if there's one of these areas that's impacted severely, or many of these areas impacted severely, how someone's really going to have a difficult time having any self-determination, being an active member of their community, that won't happen when speech paths are around.
So let's delve into how that looks over at Prospect. So we're going to be talking about the building-based services that we have at Prospect. So most districts have a more traditional speech language pathology program where the speech pathologists serve the students that have been identified and have IEPs. At Prospect, Jackie and I provide building-based services. So we are there to support all the students and all the staff, the entire building. So not just the students that have IEPs. So that's anything from providing preventative information, trying to avoid students needing therapy or an IEP, all the way to providing individual or group therapy for the students in the building.
We're not tethered to a severe disability. We can work on differences, delays, lots of different things. We have a wide area that we can service. We're lucky enough to be part of the MTSS process. So we often get to discuss our students, talk about what's working, what we can do better, go into classrooms, do observations, let the teachers know what we're seeing. We're usually looking through a different lens. We often screen those students, see whether or not there are things that we can support. We interpret data that other people have brought to the table regarding that student and really just collaborate.
One of the unique programs that we have push-in full class lessons each cycle in each pre-K, kindergarten, and first grade classroom. So that's a tier 1 support that all those classrooms get. The preschool level, it's literacy based. There's always a book illustrating some speech or language skill, and it ties in with the curriculum that the preschool classes are following. Kindergarten and first grade, we have the Story Champs program, which is an evidence-based program working on narrative skills. So students are learning how to tell a story in sequence. So it's developing their oral language, developing their expressive language, which we then hope to translate over time into their written language as well. We also provide family engagement programs for the pre-K. So what that is we invite the families to come for one of those pre-K push-ins. We do a little bit more elaborate version when the families come in. We have it in the purposeful play space, so it gives us some room to spread out. And families come in, and it's based, past couple of years, it's been based on the book Tanka Tanka Skunk. If you've never checked it out, pre-K really recommends it. The kids get really excited about the book. We read the book, there's a video incorporating music. We have the Oregon Symphony does a version of it. And then the parents are taught some strategies that they can use to elicit speech sounds for the kids and also syllables. And we make some crafts that they can take home then and practice those skills at home. So it's a great time. The kids have had really good attendance the past couple of years as well.
Speedy speech. Just what it sounds like. We love speedy speech, and Oaks loves speedy speech. So that's when we're taking a student from their classroom and we do very intensive, very focused drill work in a short amount of time. So say they're working on the R sound, which is really, really tricky, by the way. It's not easy at all. But we can get tons of repetitions in a very short amount of time. They're not missing academics. They're not missing any diversified studies. Research says that if you do 100 repetitions of any skill, you're building and strengthening neural pathways. So if we can do that in a teeny tiny amount of time and see better outcomes, that's, no-brainer.
Flexibility is also a huge part of our program. So when we are able to schedule those speedy speech sessions, when is appropriate, we're able to do that. Anything between that or an individual session, group sessions with the kiddos, also consultations with the teachers, as well as we're able to, because it's building based, we're able to start or stop services as soon as we see a need or as soon as those kids have met their goals.
So collaborating with teams, again, we are very fortunate that we can meet with interventionists, we can meet with social emotional support teams, we can meet with grade level teachers, paras in the classrooms, really everybody, and talk about the whole student and share information.
We're also part of the multidisciplinary team that does the pre-K screenings in the spring. So we're able to get some data on the kids that will be coming into school, and also helps us to know who we need to follow up on and give support to in the fall.
So before we move on, I do want to reiterate that some of this is very unique to Salamanca. I remember specifically calling before getting the position and asking Kim, can you tell me again exactly what you mean? Because the speech path that I worked with at the time, myself, and I've been in different districts and in Rochester, no one had heard of this model, that there were speech pathologists that were able to just work at a building-based level. And it really has a benefit to your students, as well as the full push into a classroom. That's another thing that was very unique to just this district, and it's having great outcomes.
So we wanted to spend the rest of our time tonight talking about one of the tools that we use, which is our speech language information station. Slide, please. We want to talk about the objectives, the benefits to the students and the educators in the building, the resources and activities that we use to enhance student success.
It's really cool. And thank you. Okay, so the speech and language information station. We'll delve into a little bit more how we recognize the opportunity and why we developed it. But overall, we really want it to generalize skills. Students coming to us and seeing us and doing a skill in an isolated environment really isn't helpful. So we want this to help with generalization of skills. If we're all on the same page, we're all talking the same language, that's going to benefit the student. Similarly, we wanted it to be a place where we could share information from the depth and breadth of our scope of practice for our colleagues that we work with.
So we want to talk about the inspiration, the creation, and the station. You already noticed we are speech language people that really enjoy words. There you go. So first was the observation. During our family engagement for pre-K last spring, we had posted some information on the windows that are between the purposeful play space and the related services wing. There's a bank of windows. So we had posted some information there for the families, and we noticed afterwards that a lot of the staff were coming through and taking photos of some of that information because they had seen it as they were on their way to STEAM or culture. All the classes pass through there on the way to STEAM and culture. All the classes have to wait there for a few moments while they're waiting to go into STEAM and culture. So we realized the potential in using that space to get out more of our supports to the school community. So dissemination. So as building-based SLPs, we build questions for the teachers all day long in the copy room in meetings, and it can be hard for teachers to remember that information, take it back from the copy room to their classroom. So we realized this could be a designated visible area where we could post our strategies, our visual supports for speech sounds, information about speech language development, and also reminders about the referral process in the school. Interaction. So we launched the station during May, which is Better Speech and Hearing Month, if anybody didn't know. We made it a welcoming, informative area so that it could support the communication needs of the whole school. We have interactive sections for the students, and we also have activities for the teachers that they can use to elicit different speech and language targets from the students. We also post just information about developmental norms and about the referral process as well. Okay.
So here are just a few pictures of some of the things that we've included in our information station. At the end of the handout, there are some more pictures just so you can reference and see. We love anything seasonal. It is an elementary school. We keep it cute, we keep it fun. We also love a great theme. However, similar to our therapy, we want to be very focused, very targeted, and specific. Okay, so we are born to communicate. We are not born knowing how to read. We're not born knowing how to write, but we are born knowing what to do to communicate, right? Every behavior is a form of communication. So what we're working on is to build those skills and help support students. Then they can achieve great academic success if they have those foundational skills. We want effective communication, which will yield academic achievement. We want social interactions. Again, we want them to be active members of their community and have their needs met, to be confident and have high self-esteem.
So here's an example of one of our interactive activities that we set up for students as well as for teachers. On the window there is a script for teaching S consonant blend. So that's an S with another consonant. In this case, there's an ST blend script. So the teacher can see the terms and the phrasing that we would use as a speech pathologist to instruct the student. And she's showing the students a gesture that we teach the students in our lesson so they don't leave off that S, which a student will often do. You've probably heard a preschooler say top instead of stop. So Emma Isaac, one of our kindergarten teachers, is showing her students the strategy of you put your hand on your shoulder and you're going to make the S sound for the whole length of your arm, and then you'll finish the word when you get to your hand. So stop would be stop. So around that script, there are little pictures of different S blends, and she's practicing it with her students, and then she can take that strategy back into her classroom. It's a small little thing, but she can do it during the day to really encourage students to produce those sounds correctly.
And we should mention that this, again, that seems like a just really easy prompt, but that's also an evidence-based, like an S sound is a long sound. So we would pair it with something that's a long behavior. So those are things, and that helps the student to, pair that with their memory. So, and again, when it transfers to the classroom, they can get more repetition, not just from us, but when they go back to their kindergarten teacher.
So we also have monthly challenges. We have a calendar that has something quick. So the teacher can either glance at it as they're going past and take the idea back to their classroom, Or during that time where they have to wait for transition to one of their diversified studies, they can answer the question or do the activity very quickly. So it's something that's seasonal, fun, very quick, but very impactful in the student's development.
Wanting to make things and impactful for our students, we also want to do that for our colleagues, right? We have 9 areas that we treat. That's a lot of information and we cover a lot of ground. So when we provide information for the teachers, we want it to be quick, accessible. We want it to be something that they can understand and apply rather than have to try to figure out. So again, this would be just quick and easy information that they'll understand a delay versus a disorder, because those are things that could be very easily mixed up, but they make a big difference. Over here, you'd see numbers. Well, these are developmental norms that we would expect for speech sounds to develop or be emerging or be independently produced. So for the referral process, if someone's working with a 4-year-old and they don't yet have the R and TH sound, that's not concerning. That would be developmentally appropriate. We wouldn't expect a referral then. It's okay. It's coming. They might develop that sound on their own. Conversely, so if someone's working with an 8-year-old that does not yet have the K sound or the G sound, we're likely going to support that student. So this is just another example of something that we have posted for our students and our teachers to utilize. They love it. It's adorable. So these are just pictures of placement cues for how someone would move their mouth to make specific sounds. And under this, we would have mirrors. You'll often see cute little faces in those mirrors as they practice all their different speech sounds. For our speech kids, it's great because it's added practice. For kids that aren't in speech, it's also still great practice. The teachers love it too. That's a staple. That one never comes down.
So we, as of December, we tracked how many resources we had posted so far with the boards that we put up. So as of December, we had at least 28 speech and language development handouts,
At least 12 interactive activities,
at least 13 documents supporting appropriate referrals,
and 12 super cute seasonal activities that are developing language through play.
and how many puns and fun?
Lots of fun and fun.
All right, so our future plans for the information station, next one. First of all, resource expansion. So we just want to continue incorporating additional materials that cater to the diverse learning needs.
Activity enhancement, we just want to continue to make it engaging for our colleagues as well as their students.
Outreach initiatives, we want to continue to engage the families and community partners for greater support.
And feedback. So far, we've received lots of positive feedback from our colleagues, from the students, from our admin. It's in the future, we want to take more and more from the teachers what they'd like to learn about, because I think you don't know what you don't know, and speech paths, kind of know things in the vacuum. So we want to share some of those resources. I'd like to also point out that a lot of the feedback that we're getting isn't just impacting students. We've had colleagues come to us and say that they're taking pictures and using these things at home, or they're taking pictures and sending them to the parents of their grandchildren so that they can facilitate communication at home. And these are really easy things. And some people are doing them and they don't even recognize that it's really facilitating some good skills.
And evidence-based information. So as we provide materials, information, and guidance, we want to make sure that it's always rooted in best evidence-based practice.
So those are the communication skills that we are supporting routinely at Prospect. But we appreciate your time tonight and we appreciate your continued support with our program.
Thank you. I have one.
Sure.
So just, looking at the calendar you put up there for December. So just a little bit more on what you do. So on Wednesday, the 3rd, repeat these words in order: cat, dog, fish, pen, pencil, paper, can, swing, flower. Why?
Auditory memory is a huge important skill in reading comprehension, listening comprehension, sequencing events, word relationships. It ties in a lot of different things.
How many of you can repeat your childhood phone number? But how many of you know your second cousin's phone number that's programmed in your cell phone? So the more times you're repeating information and chunking information, the better it serves your memory.
I don't even know my daughter's.
There was no judgment. Yeah, I don't know anything at all.
It's like, for me, it's like speed dial 3.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Were there any other questions?
Yeah. I honestly, I had a lot of questions on the calendar, but it's interesting, you know, yeah.
It covers a range. There are some easier skills, some, more difficult skills because it is out there for pre-K through third grade. So, there's anything from, answering questions to opposites to speech sounds.
And really, sometimes it's just supporting conversation skills. If we have more and more families and parents or caregivers talking about shopping, talking about what we did at the restaurant, talking about this is the recipe we follow and these are the steps. Just the more that we can get that communication going, that supports the skills that they need for school. And again, that's, those early foundational skills. We're not talking about reading and writing yet, because we're just still talking about baseline communication. So those would be targeting receptive language, how much you're understanding, expressive language that they can, then answer things, and articulation. So that calendar is very broad.
When you do your speedy speech, is that individualized or is that like a group?
Usually individually, just because it's so quick, and it's really focused on that student's targeted goal. So unless two students have the same goal, usually we would just do that individually.
Love it.
It's a cool gig. Best thing ever.
Love it.
So what other techniques, like you mentioned the one about the stop, what else do you do? I mean, is that the general technique for any word, or is there more?
Well, no, that's specific to like an S blend, because there's an S component and then the rest of the word. So we have a lot of gestural cues that we use for different speech sounds, like one that we use pretty often, K's and G's are considered a back sound. You use the back of your tongue to produce that. So either you make a little K with a sign, or you point to the back of your tongue, versus T's and D's are front sounds. You're pointing to where your tongue is actually making contact behind your top teeth. So a lot of visual cues to help the students know where they need to put their articulators.
And you can
For
imagine
example,
this can be awkward and weird. We're asking students to sometimes do some really strange things, which is why you'll see speech paths playing games. It's more than, Candyland. We have to make everything engaging, everything welcoming, and everything feel very safe. Because you can imagine an adult saying, okay, now you have to take your tongue and you've got to scooch it back and you have to you can't round your lips. We really teach those skills exactly like that from pre-K up till graduation. So you can imagine that can be awkward and daunting, but we make it fun.
yes.
Anything else?
I just wanted to note that besides the fact that during your presentation, I kept examining the shape of my mouth and where sounds are actually coming from. Oh yeah, they're right. Imagine that. With Steve's and your presentation, the one thing that I think has been consistent in people who do a terrific job is a level of care and commitment that they put into their job. And the work, not just their job, it's really the work that you do with students every day. And I just want to make the note here that your information station isn't what you're actually, well, it is what you're hired to do, but it's essentially above and beyond what you do every day. And I want to acknowledge that because, they don't have to do the information station. But if you look at those pictures, there's an incredible amount of time and effort that goes into that. And I believe that's because you care about what you do and the success of your students. And that's seen not just with the students that walk up to it every day, but as you've noticed with the other educators that walk by it. And there's an incredible amount of learning that's happening right there from something that you're doing extra. And that's one of the things that makes this such a great place to work, and people like you, such great people to be working here. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. have our gifted and talented presentation.
I guess we're standing over here tonight.
Stand wherever you want.
Okay. I'm presenting to you, early in January, we recently hired an enrichment and advanced specialist. And so I wanted to clarify what this individual will be doing and what it will look like for the rest of spring and where we're going in the future. So the program components, basically what this will be doing is an enrichment intervention. We'll be taking small groups of students and we'll be enriching them, taking them beyond the current curriculum that they're getting in the classroom. We'll be giving kids opportunities to do critical thinking and creativity and preparing our students for higher learning. We will run this with our students in grades 1 through 6 for the remainder of this school year. We hired Ms. Kaufman to be our enrichment specialist. She is certified in grades 1 through 6. And she'll be taking on helping us build this program since it will be new to Salamanca and helping us identify what this will look like. She has a lot of experience from her previous district in enrichment and working with gifted and talented, which is the future of the program. The setup will be, the structure will be 2 days a week at Prospect and 2 days a week at Seneca. Give or take, we might do 3 days a week at Seneca. That's something we're working through depending on what it will take to implement screeners for gifted and talented, which is called the KVIT. So we've set aside 1 day a week to screen our students a little bit of time. But as we work through this program, we might add a 3rd day to Seneca and work screeners in between. She will pull students out during the wind walk. So she'll either be pulling them out of the classroom or pushing into the classrooms and working with small groups. This year, we're going to focus on literacy, but the future would be math, STEAM, all curriculum areas, all areas of gifted, and differentiation beyond what's happening in the classroom. The why behind why we decided that there's no better time than now. We recently identified our mission as being every warrior will achieve their maximum potential and thrive in an ever-changing world. And so we put a lot of focus on our students that need additional support in tier 2 and 3. Put a lot of focus on what's the current curriculum in a tier 1. And sometimes we forget to really focus in on some of our kids that need to go above and beyond the curriculum. So talking to Dr. Wheeler, and we said, let's do it. Let's implement it now. Let's not wait. So that's what we're doing. We're going to work on enrichment, creativity, confidence, and deepening our students' learning. Some of the things that we've identified our students will do in these small groups, things like literature groups, book studies, creative writing, project-based learning, some STEAM activities, problem solving, and then we have our Indigo surveys where the students can go on and take a survey to really learn about themselves and what careers they may be good at, their learning styles, things of that nature. And so this will be part of that program as well. They'll take those surveys and really learn more about themselves and what their future is. How will we identify the students that will be a part of this program? So this will take place at our grade level data meetings. We'll have multiple data points through our MTSS process. So we'll look at our universal screener, the exact path. We'll look at students' reading levels, the spelling inventory, New York State assessments for our students in grades 3 through 6, teacher observations, classwork, and assessments that are taking place. And based on all of that information, we'll identify groups of 5 to 8 students that will be pulled out during the wind block to participate in enrichment for the remainder of the year. Our goal for the spring, the remainder of the year, is to begin with this program in grades 1 through 6. At the end of the year, evaluate the benefits and the effectiveness. At the end of the year, our goal is to really move kids, take our 3s, make them 4s, take our 2s, make them 3s. So really making some gains. And then when we come back in the 26-27, we're hoping to be able to have the same position for our students in grades 7 through 12 with more of a project-based learning for older students. Potentially add another teacher in grades 1 through 6 so that we have one solely focused at Prospect, one at Seneca, and then one at the high school. We will work on getting teacher training and work towards building the curriculum of what this looks like in the grade levels based off the current curriculum maps at each grade level. How can we take what's happening in the classroom and then extend it and really map out what it will look like for the future? And then the plan would be for the 27 school year to be able to fully implement a gifted and talented program meaning that we have students identified through the screeners as being gifted and talented. We have certified teachers in gifted and talented, and we have a curriculum alignment. That is that. Do you guys have any questions on what that will look like?
I did.
Sure.
So if there's a kid in the classroom that's above their reading level, or math, are we gonna give them constant work to keep challenging them? And then what happens the next year when they get to the next grade? Like, how are we going to keep fostering that and building that so that they are getting to that higher level? And how are we gonna treat kids that maybe are gifted in math but not reading,
Right.
literature?
Yeah, I completely understand. So the first question I can answer. So one thing that I talked with Ms. Kaufman about is making sure that we really create a program where we're not just identifying students, pulling them out and having them do extra work.
Right.
You've been identified as being a high student and you're just gonna, yeah, it has to be challenging, engaging, meaningful. I would love to see some collaboration with some of the awesome things that we already have going on, like maybe they participate in some culinary, maybe they make a menu, maybe some things that are meaningful to them. And we continue to build, but also, taking it a step further and really taking the curriculum and saying, if you're ready for fourth grade and you're in third grade, what are we gonna do? So that's one thing we wanna make sure that we're holding their engagement. And then the math piece that's an interesting, when we look at breaking it up with ELA and math and what that's gonna look like as we screen our students. But right now, the plan is to go in holistically with a strong focus on literacy, but go cross-curricular. So they're pulling in the science, social studies, math, and the literacy. And I guess we kind of identify as we go, if we have an abundance of students that are gifted in math and maybe struggling in literacy, we need to go back to the drawing board and see what that looks like. But overall, the goal would be to pull in all the content and really go project-based learning of those students. Gail and I had talked a little bit about what does this look like for next year to be extremely successful, and it would be extending it beyond the win blocks, not just taking the 30 minutes, but maybe the entire ELA class is with Gail, and they really can advance to the next level.
We talked about that one room schoolhouse effect, right?
And cross grade levels,
right.
Fourth and fifth grader can be a multi-age classroom. I think there's a lot of places we can get and where we can go and building it out and seeing how we work with kiddos where that can land.
Interesting.
As we get going, I know Ms. Kaufman she was gonna come tonight, but I think we're gonna start the program and then she was maybe gonna come in April and give an update of how it's going, what it looks like, and we'll have our students identified. She'll have a good 6 to 8 weeks with them and maybe bring some kids. I'll let you know what they're doing for.
Let them know what menu.
Yeah,
John's gonna have.
yeah, it'll be on the John's menu.
So, well, hold on. I mean, actually, this might be a Karen question. So if we're looking at adding this into the high school for 26, 27, is that part of the budgeting process right now?
It's brand new to me, so sure. Bring it, I heard it, so yeah.
Well, we're in real time now here, so, but honestly, this doesn't work and we don't continue it to the high school because we're gonna get them ahead of the game all the way up to 6th grade and then say, all right, never mind.
Can I jump in? It doesn't always have to be a new teacher. We actually have some teachers that we interviewed for this position from the high school that are very interested and could utilize current staff.
Repurpose?
Yes.
Well, either way, it's a position, whether it's an existing employee or not.
But I don't want to
Still-
freak Karen out. We have not thought about
Oh.
who this.
Not even done with the original submissions yet, so.
Can I still sneak it?
I think one
Boy,
thing
put it in his.
that's important is that in the high school, we really do a pretty good job of meeting the students' needs wherever they are. We will run an independent study course for AP, whatever, with 2 students in it. And that a teacher can pick that up and we can adjust schedules. So we don't actually need, in many ways, a new staff member. Or even what we can do is adjust teaching loads, assignments, so that we can meet some of those needs. That's one of the advantages of having a high school, one, with the talented teachers that we have, but also with some of the small class sizes that we have. You know, one year we'll run anatomy and physiology, another year we'll run physics. So we can meet some of those changing needs that the students have based upon what the staff might be teaching the subsequent year. So by having staff that aren't, you know, loaded to the max with 30 kids in a classroom and 120 student load, we have some flexibility there to, they can pick up a new course that they might be interested in and meet the needs of the students as well. So we're going to do our best to maximize the potential of the staff that we do have. If we determine that we need additional staff, then of course we will do that. But I think there's some wiggle room in what we do have, particularly at the high school.
And the portrait of a graduate that's rolling out, I guess, the vision of what high school education will look like.
I'm excited to see where it goes. I'm glad we're finally doing it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Welcome.
For our final presentation.
Hi guys, so for, everybody knows me here. This is our new, it's called a CERT plan, and it stands for Cardiac Emergency Response Plan. Okay, so it's our AEDs and our CPR, the CPR and AED. So I'd first like to thank Mrs. Brundage. She got us a grant for, what was it 20,000 or whatever it was. We were able to buy 10 new AEDs, giving the district, I think we've got 23 AEDs now. But more importantly, we were able to get the same type and have the same type of AED in every classroom. And then with the AEDs that these replaced, we're gonna take those to the all three of the offices at the school and the bus garage, and we're gonna keep them for sign out. So that when we go on field trips and things like that, we're gonna have an AED with us at all times. So this come out in September of last year is when I found out that in January we had to have a CERT plan. We already were doing most of the things that were required in the plan, so it was just a matter of kind of putting it on paper. So Hannah is one of our nurses, and she's our CERT, she's the coordinator. And then this is just, we have to have a plan for each school. This is the Iroquois plan. So as you can see, the team members on this are any one of the security, they're all certified, Lori, Lefty, John. These are the team members that are on there. And then if you move down below, these are where all of our AEDs are located in the high school and in Seneca. Right now, we've still got a few AEDs that we're gonna put down at the Greer. We're gonna put by the softball field, and then we're gonna put a couple more over at Fats. So once we get the other ones outside, then we're gonna make a big poster that we're gonna put at all the entrances in the schools so that anybody coming in is gonna know exactly where our AEDs are at. One other thing that we started doing too, when we hire new people in the middle of the year, when they go through their orientation process, they stop and see me. And I go over all the standard response protocols, all the safety stuff. And then we actually take a tour and I walk them around so that they can physically see where every AED is. It's very important that we know where these are at. We may not all be certified, but the beautiful thing about these are, number one, these are fully automatic. So as soon as you open them up, it starts telling you exactly what to do. The difference between this and the older models is you had to have adult pads and infant pads. This one here just has one pad, and as soon as you hook it up, it reads the body's system, and it tells you exactly how many joules to give to them. So even if it's a little kid, it's gonna read that they need a less amount, it's just gonna give them the amount that it needs to get the heart started back up. Maintenance, we gotta do monthly audits on them. So within the program, we've got it all tabbed out where they'll come and check the batteries. There's a green light that'll be flashing if they're fully charged, which batteries are good for like 7 years, so we're good on that. Go ahead, Mark, one more. Okay, so this plan is, I'm not gonna go over every slide, but one of the things in the AED boxes that we have, so we've got the AED itself, we've got the response kit. So this is gonna be your scissors, rubber gloves, all the stuff that you may need when you're using the defibrillator. We've got emergency stop the bleed kits. So these would be for somebody that was impaled, could be shot, anything. It's got the Cellulux gauze. It's got the tourniquet itself, rubber gloves, more gauze, and scissors. So that's the stop the bleed kit. We also have EpiPens. And then in the AED kits that are right near the cafeteria, we have the life packs. Does everybody know what the life pack is? Anybody? I probably should.
Go ahead. Yeah.
I should have brought it. I'll bring it in next time, but it looks kind of like a little plunger with a face mask. And you put that, if somebody's choking, you put that over their face and you push down, it releases the air. And then when you pull back out, it sucks the fluid back out if somebody's choking. And then we also have a decision tree, even though this is fully automatic. If somebody ever wants to just take a look at it, it's a decision tree that's going to tell you what to do, you know, depending on where you're at. And then there's also a post-response procedure. So anytime one of these are used, there's a form that's got to be filled out, sent to the state, and kept on file. But here's a decision tree for that as well. Any questions on the AED so far?
How often do they have to be replaced?
Well, they don't have to be replaced. The batteries have to be replaced every 5 years. The pads, or the pads that go on you, those are every 2 years.
So everything on that table is in that kit.
Everything, yes. So this kind of here, and then we kind of have everything else smashed in there, but I'm just kind of showing everybody so you know what's in there and where it's at.
And it's not, is it locked up or is it?
No.
No, it's not locked up. Do we
So,
worry about-
Great question.
Yeah, so
We go back and forth. We don't lock.
Which is, I understand,
Yeah.
are we worried about somebody just grabbing stuff out of the kit?
I mean, so far, we've had the ones that are at Vets Park that are outside, and that's part of security's job is to make sure that that's there and everything stays there. So we would rather chance it and take the chance of having to replace whatever's in there, including the AED, than not be able to get to it.
Okay.
We had a staff member, was it last summer or the summer before? I don't know. Recently, we had a staff member whose husband basically fell over and died at a sporting event. And they had a heck of a time getting the AED. They finally got it and they saved the guy's life. But we don't want that to happen. We want to, we've kind of placed these strategically. You should be able to get to an AED 3 minutes from drop to shock. So if you go down right now, I need to be able to find an AED in about a minute, minute and a half and get back with it and get it hooked up. I've physically walked every corner of this building to the nearest AED and we're about a minute, minute and a half to any one of them. So if you put your steps to it, then you can get to them quick and get back. So we've got them all over the place and we're going to have that posted up once we figure out where we're going to put the outside one. Well, I have a good idea once we get them up.
And I agree with not locking it. I just want to make sure that Like, what's our process for making sure?
Once a
everything
month
is
we have,
there?
so once a month, the nurses do audits.
Okay,
That's in this book. Each AED itself has an audit, that's associated with it. And we do, so they're done monthly, and then security as well will check, especially the ones on the outside. We check to make sure that they're still there.
Yeah.
Good question.
Anything else on the AED? So with this, in that grant money as well, February 9th is gonna be one of our superintendent states, also the day that we're gonna go live with Student Safe, but we're gonna be able to certify almost 60 people in CPR, and then they're also gonna have the stop the bleed class as well. In addition, Chad's gonna have, you need a little bit different level of, the CPR AED first aid class for the coaches. So Chad's gonna run or not Chad, Anna's gonna run a class for the coaches to get certified in CPR, and then we're gonna be able to certify about another 60 people on February 9th. Any questions on anything so far? Anyone? All right, let's do the, next, I just went to a Raptor safety conference in November. And it's a great conference to go to, but one of our needs that we felt like we needed the most is, our threat assessment piece. We were using a different company and it was okay, but the product that we're getting ready to go to with Student Safe is awesome, and I'll talk to that, a little bit more. Go ahead, Marcy, you skip like the first couple. All right, so right now, Raptor's the company that we're using, and right now we have, we're using their visitor management. So any of you guys that have ever visited the school, you have to stop and see Tiffany, give her your driver's license. She'll put it in this little thing that looks like a plunger. And what that's doing is it's checking a database to make sure we're not letting in sexual predators. Okay, so that's one of the big things that the visitor management does to us. So Teresa, if you come in and said, hey, I got a meeting with Ray, Tiffany will type you up, scan your ID, she print you out a pass, and it tells you where you're going, and it has your name on there. Okay, so that's our visitor management. We are gonna upgrade that system to, they've got two different programs. One is called Raptor Passport, and the other is called Event Safe. And it's all part of the visitor management system. One of the upgrades that we're considering doing is the Raptor Passport. So that would be like when Prospect has their family picnic. Parents ahead of time, we can give them information, have them go in this app, put all the information in, it's going to generate one of the smart barcodes. Once it does that, they come in, they put it underneath the iPad and scan it, and it's going to check the database and then print their pass for that event. So it could save a lot of times with things like that picnic that we have a Prospect or any kind of event that we wanted to make sure that we want to know where people are at. So it's a big thing. So that's the visitor management. Right now, we've used that system since before I got here, but that's the only system that we use for Raptor up until last year when we went live with the emergency management piece. Okay, so go ahead. Okay, so the visitor management just kind of looked like we just talked about. It's going to scan your ID, checks against the National Sex Offender Registry, and then it prints the badges. Go ahead, Marcy. Dismissal Safe, last year, Dismissal Safe is going to be just at Prospect. We were supposed to go live with Dismissal Safe last year, and it didn't happen. There were some problems with the data, I believe. So what happened is Raptor bought this other company that own this software. And I don't think everything lined up perfectly, but either way, we're gonna be going live with dismissal safe this year. So a couple of the things that it does is for parent pickup, right now, basically a security guard goes outside, looks and see who's there, writes down those names, and then lets the teachers and everybody know. They call those people down to the office, they line them up, and that's how they kind of do that. With dismissal safe, it's an app, as you can see the app right here. It's gonna be able to, it's gonna have the people that come for the car line, the parent pickup, they're gonna be able to call in, make changes. The secretaries will be able to digitally change everything, and then they're gonna get a printout at like 2:30 of everybody that's gonna be there. So then when Dave gets there, he can just kind of, or the guy that goes out, those people will already be banked in the system, and they can just select them. They can line those kids up exactly in that order, and then they can roll. So that's part of the car lineup. The bus line, it's gonna do the same thing. Sorry, I'm getting nervous here.
You got this.
So the bus line, we're not gonna go live with the bus line until probably next year. The car line, we wanna kind of do that piece, get it lined up and make sure that it's running. We're gonna understand that first, and then we're gonna go with the bus line. All right, go ahead.
Can I interrupt for a second?
Yeah.
Mrs. Oaks, how much time do you spend on dismissals every day? Right. So if you've been to Prospect at the end of, well, actually, it's pretty much all day, right? All day. It's spreadsheets. Because one of the most important things we can do is make sure we get the students to the right parents. And here we have some unusual circumstances of who can pick, who can't. So that gets checked and triple checked. So having this and automating this with the database is going to make this significantly more efficient and more effective at the same time.
How do we make sure the right parent has the app?
Good question. So how do we know who has the app?
So
What's the confirmation?
This system talks to Power School, so anybody in Power School who's a legal guardian that can pick them up, it's already gonna be in there. If the parents call in, then we can also add people as well,
So it's based on their phone number that they put in.
based on the information from Power.
Teresa, you're talking about two different things. This works a little bit different than the coming in and scanning yourself in.
Right.
It's within the same system, but they function a little bit different. That one, yeah, there's layers to that when they filled out their account. But this is set up in-house and we push the information out and set up.
Okay. Oh, so the information's pushed out from our system for this dismissal safe?
Yes.
Gotcha, okay.
So Raptor, Power School, and ClassLink all talk to each other. She can explain it better than
No, I can, but you don't want to know.
So, all right, so that's, so visitor management, we've been using forever. Dismissal safe, we're getting ready to go live with, this year. Raptor Alert, we went live with last year. This is our emergency management piece. So anytime that we go into a holding place, a lockdown, lockout, not lockout, secure evacuation or shelter in place, these are what we use. So kind of the thought behind this whole process is there was never a standard response protocol. Every school kind of just did their own thing. Back in the early 80s, they come up with a standard response protocol. The I Love You Guys Foundation is one of the one of the companies that was integral in starting the standard response protocol. I can't remember the guy's name, but he taught the class at the Raptor conference this year. His daughter was actually killed in a school shooting in December in Colorado. And her last words to mom and dad were, "I love you guys." So after this all happened, this guy started the foundation called the I Love You Guys Foundation. And Raptor's a major sponsor. So the standard response protocol that I hand out to all the teachers and go over with everybody looks all the icons and everything are exactly line up with Raptor. So basically, any kind of incident that happens, we're gonna drop into one of those buckets, and then we're gonna follow the protocol for that incident. So if it's a hold in place, it doesn't matter whether it's for a fight, doesn't matter if it's for a medical. Our teachers, our staff is gonna get a hold in place alert. We're gonna accompany that with a PA announcement. If it's a medical, we're gonna let them know it's a medical and where we're at. That way, everybody, I love the system because if something happens at Prospect, there was about a 50% chance that I may hear about it or might not. Well, now when we use this, I know everything that's going on across the campus. So if you're on your conferences or whatever, you know what's going on. So it's a pretty cool system. Go ahead, next slide. Okay, so again, these are the types of alerts. The one I didn't mention is the team assist, and I'll talk about that here in a little bit. But so the 5 different types of incidents are lockdown, secure lockout, evacuation, shelter in place, and hold. Go ahead, Marcy. Okay, so these are kind of just the steps. It's very easy. All you gotta do when you go into your Raptor app is just click on any one of those, whatever icon it is that you wanna select, and it's gonna automatically notify everybody else in the school. Go ahead, Marcy. Okay, so Raptor allows for real-time tracking of the students and staff. So right now, when we go into a lockdown, Gallagher's our system that we use for a lockdown. That's what's we have to push a lockdown pull station or a panic alarm button. And once that is done for a lockout, that's gonna initiate a PA announcement. The blue lights are gonna start going. There's an alarm, and then the card swipes turn off after 10 seconds. So we still have to physically push the lockdown pull station if we're in a lockdown. With Raptor, Raptor right now we're using as kind of a notification piece and accountability piece. So if we do go into any one of these things, it's gonna notify everybody, and then we're gonna be able to go in and account for ourselves. So
who does the checking of whether they're absent or injured?
So that's the teacher.
Okay.
So what would happen is, like, for a teacher, they're gonna go in and account for themselves, say that they're in the room, whatever it is, and that they're safe. And then their class roster is attached to that. So they're gonna go in and select and account for all their kids that way.
Okay.
So that if they've got 3 kids missing, they're gonna select that everybody's there, and then just go back and uncheck those 3 that are missing. And then they're gonna mark them as absent. Can you guys see this all right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, go ahead, Mars. And that right here is where the big piece of it, the reunification piece. So within the emergency management app, it has a separate software for the reunification piece. If we ever were to go into lockdown, we can assign runners, we can assign unifiers, and there's one other one in there that we can assign all these different duties. And then your runners are gonna go get your kid out of the auditorium. We've got a plan set up for that. They're gonna bring them back, and then everything is gonna be digitally. You're gonna be able to see digitally exactly what's going on. And that's what I tell people that schools that don't have Raptor, and I hate to just use the lockdown, because I hope that's the one thing that we're gonna practice all the time and never have to use. But if we ever did have to reunify, think about, as parents, what's your number one thought? I wonder if my kid's okay. Well, with Raptor, you call in within 10 minutes of this happening, we're gonna know exactly who's accounted for and who isn't. And we're gonna be able to drill down on that, whatever 3 or 4% of the people that aren't accounted for, and find out. So that's a huge piece, just for peace of mind for parents. Go ahead. It also has it's a great, tool. It allows me to keep track of all our drills. It tells me what percentage of the staff are doing what they're supposed to do, what percent of the students are accounted for. So I have no idea. And then it integrates with other systems as well. So right now we have Zero Eyes as our weapons detection system. If Zero Eyes gets a hit where it's a true weapons detection, then that's going to actually trigger a lockdown in Raptor. So the team assist, we haven't really talked about that. The difference between the normal Raptor and the team assist, if I were to hit the hold in place, that's going to go out to everybody who has the app. Whereas the team assist, each one of these headings has a different team associated with it. So if there's a irate parent, that's going to go to all the SROs and security. If somebody's someone's doing CPR or using the AED, we've got that set up for that team. So if whatever one of these team assists that you select, there's a different team that's associated with it and that is going to respond to that incident. So we're not putting the whole school in a lockdown or a lockout or one of these other things. We're just getting the people that we need to take care of that incident. Makes sense? I can skip that. Okay, so takeaways, Raptor Alert saves time and lives, improves coordination between staff and responders, empowers staff to act confidently in critical situations, and then accountability for our students and for our parents to know that their kids are safe, and even though there's some sort of incident that's going on at the school. Any questions on any of the Raptor stuff?
Yeah, let's go back to visitor management. So everyone knows when you come to the building, you gotta put your ID in. What are we doing about all of our after school activities or?
That's why we're upgrading.
Mhm.
That's why we're upgrading.
So right now, if somebody was to come into a basketball game, are they flopping their ID as they walk in? No. We're going to a football
And
game.
the reason for that, the difference if you've got a visitor, construction worker or something here during the day, they've got access to the whole school, whereas basketball games, pretty much everybody's in the gym or everybody's in the auditorium, and I don't think anyone's gonna try anything. That's one of the reasons we haven't been too concerned with sporting events and things like that. But when we upgrade the system to event safe and that, then we're gonna be able to do some of these other things.
So at some point, we are gonna be checking everybody as they're coming to our.
I don't know if we're gonna do basketball games. That's kind of a big decision that we'll, talk over, but it would enable us for, like, one of the things I was thinking of is when we have the vendors coming in here, that would be we always struggle with that. So it's things like that.
It is set up during the day. Anytime we have any events in the building during the school day, we always have it set up in the hallways and checking every single person that's coming in during school day for any event that we do.
Mhm.
What happens if they don't have ID? They turn to what?
If they've been here before, they can look up the name.
Kind of like at the hospital.
Yeah. I think it has. Any other questions?
I have a question.
Go ahead.
It says custom databases in your slide, so it doesn't, you can program it to not just check the sex offender registry, you can check like no flag list and stuff, or
Well, for this software, it's,
something.
yeah, it's
You can do
good.
it in a vein of that, you can put special, like, lists to like disallow people and such.
Yes.
Okay, I'm just.
Yeah, we can tag people. There was like COVID protocol in there with visitor management that you can set it up and, you know, has different things like that. Anything? Any other questions? All right, student safe. Can I skip the student safe for another time? So student safe, I'll just talk about it a little bit.
Before we change subjects, I was gonna, maybe this is more for you guys. Sure. When do we think we're gonna implement something like that for our events? Because we're bringing in several hundred people for all of these events, and especially when it's a sporting contest, you're bringing in dozens of other community members that we don't even know.
Right.
So this is something that I've known in the community that people don't want sexual predators in this building or on this property. You know, these people who have certain backgrounds, we don't want them here. So that's what I'm curious about. When are we gonna implement this for our sporting events and other things that happen here?
Well, I mean, if the direction from the board is put it in place, then we'll put it in place. But, you know, the difference between a sporting event, which is, well, let's say a sporting event and then the regular school day. In the regular school day, we have students moving through a variety of places. They're supervised, but if they're going from their classroom to the hall, it's different than being in a self-contained place like an auditorium.
Or we
So-
have security guards.
And we have security guards, you know, who are monitoring a large area. So if we have someone who's coming into the building, a visitor that we don't know, all of those individuals during normal operating hours go through the Raptor system and are screened for that, you know, the basic checks. One, you know, do they go through the predator database? And two, are they people that we know we've had a problem with? Because that, as Owen mentioned, will trip if we have our own list of people that we want to make sure we don't. So that's a different environment than when we have an event. When we have an event, the building is closed to a certain area. We have a much more dense supervision, so supervisors. And there's a lot more control over who's going where and what's happening in that certain population of people. Now, if the direction from the board, so that's how we've been able to say and feel more comfortable with not screening every single person that comes in. We have security on, we have SROs on typically for a large one, we have supervisors that are on, and we are consciously looking for problems. During the school day, you know, those supervisors, even if it's the same number, are spread out over the entire campus. And they can be looking for a problem, but we want to make sure that we know exactly who's in the building at that. If you say from this point forward, or well, it can't be this point, we need some time to put it in place. Because that's a huge undertaking, right? Because people don't want to stand in line out the door when it's 5 or 9 degrees out for 15 minutes or longer to get cleared to come in. But we can do that. And this new system will allow it to be done more expeditiously, but there's still going to be inconvenience and delay.
So what's the inconvenience if somebody snatches a kid?
I'm not just, listen, you know, I don't know of any district, at least in Western New York, that screens every person coming into a sporting event. If the district says that's where we want to go, we can put that in place. I have zero problem with that, and this new software will allow us to do that more efficiently. And if you're gonna be the one to say you're gonna take calls from all the parents, which I guess I will, that's just part of my job. Okay. So, but, you know, the safety is paramount. We believe we compensate for that and can provide a safe environment because of the amount of supervision we have in that area.
But to go back to Carrie's point,
Yeah.
how are we identifying people that we know are sex offenders or?
If we know they're a sex offender, then we're not gonna let them in whether we're screening them or not.
But I know, but like if you go to a football game, I mean, we don't have admissions. I mean, how many times do people come in? How are we, I guess my question is more, how are we identifying who they are so that if somebody sees them, then they can.
We're not really identifying the person as much as we are trying to keep an eye on making sure that bad things aren't happening, which is why we have not only security, but we have supervisors. So the way we got it kind of set up is like tonight's a basketball game, there'll be several supervisors on. Supervisors will watch the event itself and take care of any of the problems that are going on in there. And security is at the front gate, we're watching the halls and the doors and that kind of stuff. So a lot of times, a security guard might be a supervisor one night, security the next. We're all working together. But that's kind of the way we kind of divided up responsibilities. So that, like tonight, there's probably at least 3 supervisors that are on in every corner of the building. And then we've got security at the front desk that are kind of watching bathrooms and stuff like that. So, I mean, I feel pretty confident that something's not gonna, I can't say nothing's ever gonna happen, but I feel way more confident at a sporting event where we've got all that on than, you know, during the school day where somebody could have access to any part of the building.
The other important part is, even if we have access control, so we're at Vets Park, right? And the new soccer complex that we have in the back. One of the considerations that we have when we're putting in place is access control period. So there's perimeter fencing all the way around, specified entry points, so that if we get to a point where we want to say nobody comes in without either a ticket, if it's a cost concern, or going through security, we can put that in place. But in reality, unless we're going to man the entire perimeter, somebody just climb over a fence somewhere, right? I mean, so we rely on trained security guards, trained supervisors, and relationships and expectations, so that if something happens, we can mitigate it. Our real goal is to prevent it. That's why we have all these people on, right? There are likely easier places to do harm to a kid than at a school with our security and supervision. And that's done on purpose, right? I mean, all the way back to Columbine, and every research from the CIA and the FBI task force have said, your goal is to present as a hard target as possible. You're not going to be able to do everything, you know, if someone wants to do harm to you, it's going to be very, very difficult to prevent that. Right? We can have metal detectors at every single door, but we have literally hundreds of windows around the building that open. You can just open a fire exit, somebody can put something in the window. So what we need to do is have security, have cameras, have people monitoring that, and make sure that we're well organized and know what to do and what to be looking for. And also, safety and security is the responsibility of everybody. And we talk about that. The students, if we're in a line, we don't let people in through doors, period. We have certain entrances, and we work on that. We work with the students on that. So, you know, to get to the real question, you know, can we implement a process where every single person that comes to a large event, we screen 100%? Will it take time and be inconvenient? Yes. But in all reality, security is inconvenient, right? It is, by definition, it's inconvenient. And that's where we run into problems, because it becomes inconvenient, people get relaxed, something doesn't happen for a long period of time until we're so relaxed that something big does happen. And then we're all of a sudden back to a starting point where we're saying, how come we're not doing this? So it's a bit of a balance, but we'll take direction from the board as far as what, you know, direction we want to head into with large events. But we're prepared and getting more prepared to do just that.
Yeah. So part of this, I guess, those of you might be on the safety committee. When's the last time the safety committee, and what's the recommendation from our board safety committee? Do we even have a recommendation?
Good plan.
We're gonna have a meeting in probably March, and we're gonna get all the outside. We have safety committees here for the district and the school at the building levels. We just haven't, probably about a year or two, a couple of years since we've had the district
level. But that'll be a topic. We were talking about this last week as we were preparing for this, of when we're going to get the big one together again. So the goal would be 3 times a year, and we're going to have one in month.
Who's on the safety committee?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
I'd be interested to hear what your guys' recommendation is.
So we'll hit student safe,
what's that?
you said, go ahead.
So student safe is, it's another Raptor product. And it's the threat assessment piece, for the threat assessment. We're going live with that on February 9th. Couple of the things. All right, so the big difference with the system that we're using now and Raptor is people being able to enter low-level concerns. So right now, if there's a bullying incident, a suicide incident, or any kind of behavioral threat assessment, the student will go down to the counselor or social worker's office and they kind of do everything right there. There's not a lot of involvement with the other staff or teachers. So whereas the student safe is going to be on all the teachers' computer, they're going to be able to enter these they're going to be able to go back and enter the low-level concerns. So that's a big piece. The other big piece that I think we've been missing is just the transition from one school to the next. So if you got a student that's got some concerns at Prospect, are all those concerns making it over to Seneca and then from Seneca to the high school? So with this system, there's 3 separate schools that are set up in there, but depending on your level of access, so a social worker or a counselor will be able to go in and look at any student and see all the concerns that they've had, whether they're bullying, threat assessment, or any kind of just low-level concerns. Go ahead to that next one, Marks.
So with that system, then will it be able to link like siblings? Or do you not know that?
It should be, because Power School links them, so.
It connects to Power School through ClassLink, so anything that they're doing is gonna set it up and give. It really is kind of sweet. You go in and you fill out each category within there, and it allows you to tag, if there's a bullying incident, it allows you to tag kids that were involved, and it shows up for alerts for them and so on and so forth, but it's all through Power School, so you look up a kid and Power School will give you all the siblings, family members, all of that kind of stuff. It does like a kind of.
I guess kind of where I'm going with it is like one of the things on here is hunger, right? Hungry. So if there's siblings, is it just the one kid or has it been noticed okay, it's kind of running through the family?
I'm not sure because we actually just got the software downloaded. I don't know all the ins and outs on it, but I do know that the liaisons, when they see students, they see kids by family.
Okay.
So that if one popped up, we're gonna know about it.
So even if the system doesn't, our process for implementing
We
it,
already have.
by who's monitoring it, right? So if I'm a liaison and I see my one family member at Prospect and another one at Seneca, in 2 days, they're having a problem. Something's probably we need to look
Right,
at.
okay.
So these here are just some of the things that, we all need to be on the lookout. We should be anyways, but now we're gonna be able to actually log these in. If I notice little Johnny just isn't himself this weekend, the teacher is just gonna put in a small little note, hey, little Johnny, I've just noticed some changes. He's not acting himself. Then that's gonna get kicked up to the counselors and social workers. So teachers aren't gonna be able to, dig in and look at any student they want and find out all their history. That's, there's different levels to this, but anybody's going to be able to enter these low level concerns, which I think is hugely important for liaisons and
Bus drivers.
Anybody, yeah. Go ahead, Marcia. The high value of low level concerns, and on this one here, it shows Dylan, his parents just got separated, and then throughout the whole time thing, these are different types of behavior that he's been displaying so that hopefully we can be more proactive with this system and less reactive. Again, as a social worker or counselor, they can go in and pull any of their reports and they can see where all their bullying concerns are. They can see if there's one school that's, worse off in bullying than another, or which school has the most assessments, whatever it may be, or incidents, and everything's right there for either the student or drilling down by school level. And it also allows you to drill down by, whatever, however you want to drill down, whether it's ethnicity, male, female, age, whatever it may be. Go ahead, Marcel. Every person that interacts with the students carries a piece of the puzzle. Often the puzzle is not put together until there's a crisis. So again, that's the piece right now that I think that we can do better at. And with this system, it's going to allow us to do that. Go ahead. And again, we want to empower all staff. It's just like see something, say something. If they notice a change in behavior, then they need to log in. Good. So in putting this together, I pulled all the board policies that have to do with any of the things that you see on there, the student handbook, code of conduct, all that, so that when the system is put in for Salamanca, it's gonna reflect all of our policies and procedures. Go ahead. All right, so that's all I'm going to talk about right now. The main thing with the student safe is that piece from being able to see any student from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade and see any concerns that they have. And, if you see a kid that comes out of Prospect and he's got, I'm not picking on that, he comes out of a certain school and he's got a whole bunch of different concerns. That's something that we can now carry over, or we don't even have to carry it over. The person at this school is going to be able to go in and take a look at all their students and see the concerns that they may have had, or assessments or whatever at the school they're at before.
So will it also notify you if a kid is escalating like automatically? That's what I want to know, like all of a sudden that you see all these behaviors, will the system notify someone? I don't know who that someone is, probably a social worker, I would think.
Yeah.
To say, hey, you might want to take a look at this student right here, because from what's been entered, it looks like something's going on.
Right.
Right.
And that's why, like, even if it's a lot of times you may have a student that one teacher notices that change of behavior, second teacher notices it, but nobody puts it in. So that's a huge piece. We gotta, it's a huge part of this process.
Right.
It sounds like it would be really good to help notify.
So when they go in and they select certain categories, bullying, whatever, there's a team of people that are assigned to that particular task, so to say.
Okay.
And anytime a kid pops up, if there's been bullying, there's gonna be a team of people that are automatically notified. There's been this incident, and then they can go in and make comment. They can add information, and it allows them to connect the dots between kids. So if they see one kid that is constantly being bullied because his name pops up as the recipient of that activity, Ray's running around school, picking on me, and then Kobe's picking on me, and then Owen's picking on me, my name pops up as the recipient of it, then that also gives them me to look at. So not just the three people that are picking on me, so to speak.
So let me ask you this question. The management of the team members, like, how are you gonna manage if somebody goes from a 4th grade teacher to a coach, or Jerry leaves and is replaced by somebody else, or his roles change, right? And now he's not doing what he normally does. Who's managing those team levels in this?
So some of it is done by my office because we do it by title.
Right.
And building.
Okay.
Some of that flows in from our office, but a lot of it is going to be managed probably by an MTSS team, who is going to make sure that these stay up to date. So when Jerry leaves, the person that walks in and takes his place, they are automatically put in those assignments.
Okay.
Right. No, that's an excellent question, because it's important to recognize, right, that,
Right.
we have now 23 AEDs that have to get checked. every single month. Have to have the pads expire before the a certain point, they have to be replaced. We have to keep track of everything else that's in there. The Narcan expires, the Epi expires.
Prescriptions for all that
All,
stuff.
and we have to have prescriptions for all of that. Now we've got this system in place, so when people come, go, training, because the last thing we need is an alert to go out on somebody and it went to somebody who's, you know, been
Right.
gone for 6 months.
That's
Right.
the reason I
Right.
asked. because
So-
I-
And you know, the question then becomes, well, why do we need something? What do these people do? Right? You know, and all of these systems that we put in place are fabulous, but there's an incredible amount of time behind the scenes.
Right.
So that we don't end up with, oh, it got sent to so-and-so who hasn't worked here in 3 months,
Right.
and now we have a real problem. Right, so that'll fall on Ray, and that's why we revisit our plans periodically. They have to be updated at least every year, and one of the things is going through who's here, who's not. And making sure that that's all current and up to date, and we also do our best to have redundancies. So we had 2 weeks ago, was a Sunday, Saturday night. We also have Gaggle, which monitors all of our electronic communications within our student systems. Was it 10 o'clock, 10:30? A communication between two students on an email. It was indicative of a suicidal ideology. And it sent an alert to 6 of us. And so we have some things in place for something like that. There's 6 people that are notified. And we will communicate with each other to make sure one of us is taking care of that. So we rarely, if ever, rely on just one person because that person was asleep. And then there's other fail safes because if nobody had responded to that, then they start making phone calls. And if nobody answers the phone call, then they call the police department. So there are protections in place to make sure that, you know,
And
alerts don't fall through the
for,
cracks.
the threat assessment piece, Teresa, we have, each school has their own team. That has an assessor, has a reviewer, has an external reviewer, there's a primary and there's a secondary. So if Mark's out, Nikki's his replacement. So that's all in place. So if Jerry or whoever, somebody on that team retires, then we're gonna assign that position. Okay, so I've sent that to all the building principals, Mark, Nikki, we all know who's on the team so that we can manage that. Is that what you meant by?
Yeah.
that question? And then the other thing with the student safe, you know, it's a software program, so anything that's done, any concern or threat assessment, whether it's a behavioral threat assessment or a suicide assessment or bullying, it's all gonna be in there. There's, right now, our people use the CSTAG model, but there's also a model called the NTAC, and then there's the Kaiser, there's 3 or 4 different models. We've got all of them, we can keep them all, they like the CSTAG, so we're gonna start off with that, but we're gonna train on all of them February 9th. So the guy that actually wrote this program is the guy that's coming down and he's gonna train our staff and do our presentation. So it's gonna be a good day. And we really need this system. And I think I think everyone's gonna like it.
Well, looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, it's gonna be a game
Well, that's all I got, so. any
Oh, that's
other
all?
questions on it? No, I'm already. All right.
Great. Now we have our board information and report, or no, our consent agenda. Sorry, I lied. We need a motion to approve our consent agenda.
Motion. Second.
Oh, geez, those papers, guys.
Take them.
It was
Yeah, okay.
Tracy.
Tracy.
Was it Tracy? Tracy and Dale? Anybody gonna be upset with that? Motion by Tracy, second by Dale, all in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Now we have our board information and report. February 10th is our next Board of Education meeting right here. The 11th is our Indigenous Education Committee meeting to be held at 4 in the LGI right here again. And then February 24th is our next Board of Education meeting here. So we don't have really a lot going on in between, except for a couple meetings. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. And with that, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. Motion by Ted, second by Carrie. All in favor? Aye. Opposed, abstained, motion carried. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and thank you for your presentation. And Jerry, I wasn't trying to hint that you should retire. I know.